Hi everyone, Melissa Gross here, and today I'm going to share with you my inspiration notebook. Inspiration is my one little word for 2015, and last year my word was fun, and I created a notebook following along with Allie Edwards' one little word class. This year I wanted to do something a little different, but I did want to have a notebook. I wanted my notebook rather than be something that I add to during the year and have to keep at the end of the year, something that I could use throughout the year, kind of a workbook of sorts. So I started with just a notebook that I had in my stash, and I hope you can see this. I know there's a little glare on it. I did make an introduction page similar to what we did in Allie's class last year. I just put my word in 2015. I listed some definitions of the word inspiration, and kind of my intent this year was to find, act on, and in some cases limit inspiration. Creatively, physically, spiritually, intellectually, and organizationally. Those were kind of the areas I was going to be working on. On the back of that page, I just put a quote. That's a Franklin D. Roosevelt quote that says, "Happiness is the joy of achievement," and I wrote completed projects, "and the thrill of created effort." Basically, enjoy it along the way. And then I have two little pictures here that I cut out of an old Dick and Jane book. In this one, Dick is drawing something, and in this one, they're trying to guess what Sally drew on her picture, and they never guess that this is a big yellow cookie. Next, I put some intentions, similar again to what we did in Allie's class last year. I'm not taking the one little word class this year. However, I'm using some of the prompts from last year. So I have 6 intentions basically with inspiration this year to review my scrapbooking classes that I've paid for, the online classes. I want to organize and act on inspiration that I have piled up on 2 bookshelves in my room. I want to limit new online classes, only sign up for something if I can actually be participating during the time of the class. I want to participate in more in-person classes and teach in-person classes. And then here I put experience a joyful year of memory keeping, which was a quote that I got from Jennifer Wilson's Start Fresh class. And then also spend time in nature. So these are my creative action items for inspiration. And then other items that I talked about. Physically, I want to eat healthy and exercise. As far as spiritually, I want to draw closer to the Lord through my quiet time, Bible reading, and church attendance, and also celebrate the intersection of faith and art, which is a quote that I took from Lane Amon's Truth Scrap class. Also, reading for inspiration. A lot of times, things that I read will inspire me, so I want to be reading about things in all of these different areas. And then also I want to do some organization and decluttering. Here I created a little bit of a vision board. I kind of call them my vision pages, inspiration, and I shared these on my blog previously, and then another page that just has a quote on it. So here's kind of the workhorse of the notebook that I'll be using throughout the year, and I've started with the Start Fresh planner that we got in Jennifer Wilson's The Simple Scrapper Start Fresh workshop. And I have some of those pages here. This was basically a workbook and a planner. These first pages are the workbook where you went back and looked at basically what worked for you last year, what didn't work. There are lots of questions and pages where you can fill out a list of things that you want to accomplish. So I'm keeping that here. This will be something that I look through pretty much each month. I'll pull out this notebook and kind of go through that. So I ended up with a list of projects that I want to work on and have them ranked. There were, again, several different worksheets here. Along with this, there's a seasonal section. So right now we are in the winter season, and I've listed some goals for these first 3 months of the year, and then she kind of has us pre-plan the rest of the year. These others are some blank forms that I have not filled out. And then I get into my monthly sections. And basically what I'm doing here, I wanted to have something that I would could keep at the end of the year that would be kind of a completed album, but also I wanted the months to be able to use. So for example, January is completed. So here's what it'll look like after the month's done. This first page here, basically I'm taking my blog post at the beginning of the month and I'm listing the things that I'm planning to do that relate to my word inspiration. At the end of the month, I do a wrap-up post, and so on the back of that, I've just basically printed out my blog post that wrapped up what I did in relation to my word inspiration for January. So I talked about the Start Fresh workshop, I talked about the card class that I taught, I listed the different things that I made, books that I read that were inspiring in different areas of my life. February is the month we're in right now, so this is the month I'm actually using. You'll see here that at the beginning of the month, I printed out my intentions, just basically from my blog post, things that I wanted to do. Use inspiration from the Simple Scrapper membership, go to Scrapbook Expo, complete this inspiration notebook and share it with y'all. Scrap my January top 5 layouts. I've done 3 of those. I have 2 more in a couple of days. And this was a book that I was going to read, which I have completed. So at the end of the month, I'll put a wrap up right here, but right now I don't have anything there. This page, this February page, is from the Start Fresh workshop, and it's there were calendar pages for every month. So there's a calendar page that lists the days, the dates, here a line calendar, and what I'm using this for is to record anytime there's a story I want to tell or an event I want to scrap. So like on the 4th, my mom came here and was scrapbooking with me, and we called it doily days because we used a doily on most of our layouts. So I want to be sure and scrap about that because we had a lot of fun. These are different things that I know I want to scrap. Here's something that really doesn't relate to a date. And just a little checklist. I was part of Sean's Pile of Postcards Valentine exchange, so this was my checklist of the postcards that I sent and received, and that was part of something that I am doing creatively that I was inspired to do this year. On the back of this page, I'm not really using this, but there's another section here for February where we can list some goals. These are the 5 goals that I have for February, and since there's only, maybe 2 or 3 days left in February, I'm going to have to really get with it. I was going to complete my 2014 digital workflow, still working on that. Scrap my January top 5. I've got 3 out of 5. I was going to do some more layouts for 2011, which is the current project that I'm trying to complete, and it'll take another couple of months. I have done some layouts for that. My inspiration notebook, which I now have complete, and then the truth scrap. I wanted to review those courses, the materials that I did not get to last month. And then also this is just a list of different friends of mine and what their words are, because as the year goes on, I'm making some things for some friends and I want to remember what their words are. Then this is just the March calendar, but I'm not using that page. So I'm basically from the February Start Fresh Planner, I'm using this page to record stories and events that I want to scrap, and I'm using this page to list my goals for the month. So behind that, I have the things that I need to accomplish those goals and other pieces of inspiration that I want to use in the month of February. For example, this is my digital workflow checklist for 2014. I've highlighted the areas that I still have to go. I've checked some of those off this month. So I'm keeping that here. I also have my 2015 digital workflow checklist, and you can see that I've started January, but I've not completed that. Maybe you can see that on the video. The other thing I'm working on is my 2011 chronological albums. That's the project that I listed I wanted to complete first this year as I went through the Start Fresh workshop. I made a list of layouts that I need to complete that. These are stories or photos or events, different things I want to scrap. It actually was quite a big list. There are quite a few of them marked off as I'm working through, but this really helps me when I complete a project. I go through the scrapbook and I look and see what stories are missing, what photos are missing. Are there different perspectives that I want to add in? Is there memorabilia I want to include? And I just make a list. So this I'm working on now. In that 2011, in my storage binder of photos, I also found some photos that would be used for connections layouts, connecting them with other time periods. So that's a list of layouts I want to create. Now remember back here I showed you my February list of things I want to scrap. Well, I have the January list here. I'm gonna just keep these monthly pages together in the current month. The January I highlighted my top 5 and I've marked 3 of those off. Again, there are other things that I want to scrap in January, but I wanted to scrap my January top 5 in February. So once February is done, I'll move the January and February pages behind March. This will be kind of an ongoing project throughout the year. Those of you who know me know that I don't scrap in order. I just scrap whatever I'm inspired. So far this year I've scrapped 2011 layouts, 2015 layouts, I've scrapped 2014, I've scrapped some Connections layouts and layouts from my childhood. But I do want to have this here, that this is a focus for me. Here's just a page protector, and in here I have a couple of pieces of inspiration. These are 2 sketches from the Simple Scrapper membership that I want to use on a couple of my January layouts. Also have back here, these are some scripture cards that came in some mail. It was really a piece of junk mail advertising something, but I thought I might use these in some of the art that I want to complete as I go through the Truth Scrap event. You can see that I've taken some notes and am continuing to work through that. So these are the Truth Scrap materials. I did watch many of the videos and participate in the event on January 31st. There was a lot of inspiration and I'm working back through it. I've rewatched a couple of those different sessions and want to continue to do that. And as I do, I thought these would be pieces I might use. So you can see that I've got several things that I'm continuing to work on. Now, since we only have 2 days in February, most of this is then going to get transferred over to March. And because of that, that helps me to plan ahead. I know that I want to still have some review of Truth Scrap. I know I have January layouts that I want to scrap. I know I have Connections layouts. I know I have 2011 layouts. I know I have my digital workflow. So as I was looking at March and looking at some courses that were available to take, I knew that I did not want to sign up for any more inspiration. I have things that I'm working on and I want to do this and not just continually add to it. These are things I'm very interested in completing. So I've elected not to sign up for any new classes for March, despite the fact that Jennifer Wilson's The Finishing Project really tempted me, and I did not continue my membership currently at Simple Scrapper. Again, I don't want to continue to add so much inspiration. This is part of limiting my inspiration. Then the remaining months of the year are just ready to be utilized. March, obviously is blank. I do have one note in here that I want to send Happy Mail to some people, and I have a map in here that I picked up because I want to make envelopes from this map for that Happy Mail. Otherwise, I've just got each month I've got that I'm ready to utilize as I move things to it. If I did sign up for a class, say in April, I would go ahead and put, whatever the pre-class materials were. But again, I'm not signing up at this point until I get some things done. So you go all the way through. I have this all set up and ready to use for the year. In the back, I just have some extra papers and tabs that match my supplies for the notebook. So I'm very excited about this. This is not my daily planner. I use a calendar to keep myself organized so that I know what I need to do each day and that kind of thing. But when I'm ready to create, when I'm ready to add some creative activities to my calendar for the week, I can just flip through here and look at what do I want to do next, what's ready to work on. So there you have it, my Inspiration 2015 notebook. I am thinking about adding this little button right here with some pop dots. I recently attended Scrapbook Expo and you collect these buttons. One of mine said be inspired, and I thought that might go right there. I hope you've enjoyed seeing my inspiration notebook and would love to hear if you have a way of documenting your word for the year. Thanks so much for watching, and happy scrapping.